Welcome to PLC Sydney's webinar for prospective parents. My name's Catherine Marvel and I'm the Director of Enrolments here at the college. Tonight you will be hearing from one of our school leaders, our principal, and then it will come back to me at the end. During the evening, you will have the opportunity to ask questions via the Q&A button at the bottom of your screens. Please type your questions during our presentation, and when Dr. Burgess has finished his presentation, he will attempt to answer as many as he can. But please understand that if we don't get to all of them, we will make sure that tomorrow we will give you the answers that you have registered with us. Anyway, I won't take up too much of your time. I would now like to introduce you to the Principal of PLC Sydney, Dr. Paul Burgess.
Thanks very much, Catherine, and a really warm welcome to you tonight. I'm going to introduce Emily Maloney, one of our vice captains at the school, part of the leadership team. Emily does a fabulous job, and we've just asked her to give her own reflections. We don't edit this or audit it. We just ask Emily to reflect honestly upon her school life. So, Emily, would you come forward now, and then I'll come back and address our community. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm just going to talk about my experience at PLC so far. So I came to the school at the start of Year 7, and I guess you could say that I was a bit over-enthusiastic about the whole high school thing. So I joined a bunch of sports teams, science clubs, the Social Inc. group, and in later years did the Duke of Edinburgh Award and a cultural exchange. So in a bit more detail, on the sports side of things, I was a part of the school's swim club before I even came to the school, but I also joined the athletics team in Year 7, and with the guidance of the school's athletics head coach, I took up triathlons and had the opportunity to travel Australia representing New South Wales in this. Except what I love the most about the school's sports culture is that you don't have to be an elite athlete to get involved or have a bit of fun. I started playing hockey in Year 7, which absolutely terrified me at first, but it's ended up being one of my favourite sports. Not because I'm particularly good at it, which I'm definitely not, but because of how great it is just to work with the other amazing girls in my grade and to compete against the other schools in IGSA. Aside from sport, I've been a part of the social inclusion program at school, which is where transition students and mainstream girls get to mingle more. For me personally, I think this is such a great thing that the school does because it brings together different students in a fun way. In the science field, I attended an international science conference in Year 10 and presented my work, and I've also been a part of the school's chemistry titration club, and with my great passion for science, it's just these little things that I've really enjoyed over the years. Probably the best thing that I've been able to do at PLC was travel to Germany on exchange, right before COVID started. And this trip gave me the best friendship with my exchange sister, and I got to see the beautiful country of Germany as well as some other countries in Europe. I don't have time to talk about everything that I've enjoyed in the last 5 or 6 years, but one last thing I do want to talk about is Duke of Ed. I actually completed my Gold Award this week, which means that over the last few years I've worked on a service, a skill, a physical activity, and I've been on a few camping adventures. I was able to do this with a bunch of my friends, and I got to go to some beautiful locations such as Mile Lakes. And yes, it's been a lot of work, but it's definitely been worthwhile for me. And to finish off, the one thing that I value the most at PLC, this only struck me recently as I'm currently at the peak of my second Year 12 exam block, but that's the amazing relationships that I've formed with my teachers over the years. I have such a great appreciation for my teachers as they constantly go above and beyond to help wherever I need, and they've always been so encouraging and supportive of my goals. Except, my time at PLC isn't finished just yet, so although the vast majority of high school has already sawn by, I'm even more excited for what's still to come in the rest of Year 12. Now, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you for listening. We'll now watch a video of the school.
Well, good evening again, everybody, and I thank Emily for her contribution today. Emily has had to go off to study tonight, so we wanted to hear from her first. I'll just mention something which was a question from Emily's talk before I begin. People asked, what is the transition class? Emily spoke of Social Link and the connection. As you'll see in my slides later, PLC Sydney has a class of girls with intellectual disability. They're a wonderful part of our school community, and there's an integration program right through with the school, and Emily's part of that, to make sure that those girls are really well included within the school. And they play such an important part too for our community. So let me tell you a little bit about our school. First and foremost, we're a community. Sometimes education is pictured as a utility. Much of the time when we talk of PISA results or things like that, we're talking about education as a utility. And it is true. Students get marks and they take those marks as portable things with them to go to the university, so there is some truth to that. But actually an education is about human flourishing. It's about each girl growing and becoming whom she can be, and also about us forming a community where she belongs. So we talk about being, belonging and becoming. Now, every child learns, and what we're saying is that education is not reductionist. We desire security and significance. When girls go to a camp, a Year 5 camp, they want to know where their bed is first. So they need to feel safe in the classroom. That's the baseline of who they are. And then we need to set up the school so that the finances of the school help every child who comes here to have the opportunity to grow and develop significance. That's how we set it up. We purposefully set up a very broad and very deep program for that purpose. We have been named by Cambridge University as one of the 100 most innovative schools in the world. We didn't seek that. And I'm going to first of all just mention a little bit why they might do that and give us that award without us asking for it. And so let's have a look at what we do. If you look at our junior school campus, you'll see the buildings have what we call intimacy and openness. That means that we can close the classrooms off for close, direct teaching, or we can open them up for problem-solving teaching. And that goes right through the pedagogy of our school, that we seek to teach both directly and help the girls to become involved in problem-solving and collaborative work. One example of that is our zoo project. We have both a turtle pond in the school where we hatch turtles to put back into the Parramatta River, and also where we have an invertebrate house and where the students learn about breeding insects. They get very familiar with them. And so it's a real life experience. So one part of openness is that learning should connect to the real world. And another part is that you can go back and take that information you've gained and talk about it very closely. Similarly, in the junior school, we have STEM specialities. So Mrs. Martin, for example, is our junior school specialist teacher, and that carries right through the senior school. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Many schools would do only one production every 2 years. We do 5 productions per annum, so that we can really pick up on enabling as many girls as possible to have a go in theatre. Another example is Juvenilia. The Juvenilia project is a particular one for only a few girls in Year 11, but those girls actually write an academic book, which is on the early writings of a famous author. And so they do a significant research project, and that's just a club. So see, this notion of intimacy, getting in close and learning about something deeply, or going back and having some fun activity that helps you to learn, it's very important. We offer Cambridge courses, which I'm going to tell you about, and they're part of the idea of having close direct teaching. And we have in residence positions, a mathematician in residence, an artist in residence, a nuclear physicist in residence, a scientist in residence, so the girls can pick up on some zing in their learning. And then we have a very strong ex-student connection. The ex-students love to come back and talk about their careers. So when we talk about PLC Sydney Futures, there's a real openness there to find out about the future. So what I mean by intimacy and openness is close direct teaching or close contact with something that's significant, and then also openness, the capacity to explore, to discover. Our philosophy of education is that if you want to try your best to play for Australia, we want to help you get there, but we want to reach each child. So we will have girls in the moment who are in the top tennis grade and they're competing at the highest level, but we've got a group of Year 12 girls who are playing tennis for the first time and they're just getting out, they're playing hopelessly. because they've never played before, but they're playing in one of the lower grades, having a lot of fun, and they're connecting with each other. We need both of those things together. So, as I say, that's about being, our real belief in who the girls are, about them becoming, and about them belonging. And I note that during the COVID time, we really continued unabated. If you talk to other people about what we did, we set up the schools so we could continue unabated during that time. Now, we do value our academic results, but actually we see them as coming out of our care for the person. As opposed to just being a separate utility, they actually come out of how we seek to grow each child. So last year, about 50% of the students in the top 10% of the state, and you see those other results are very good. The top achievers list is the students who who came first, second, third, fourth, fifth in a subject. And the all-rounders list is students who scored over 90 in every single subject. But it's not just this year. Our results last year are very similar, as you can see there. 51% in the top 10%. 2018, 56% in the top 10%. 2017, 51% in the top 10%. Each year will be a little bit different because we're not a selective school. We take the whole range of students and we care for the students across the whole range, from the girls in the transition class right through to the girls who are the highest academic achievers. We want to help each child to grow. That's our mission for each girl. Now, the principles of excellence and reach, I'll give you an example. So have a look at STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths. How do we achieve what we do? Well, let's first of all ask what we do achieve. The Science Teachers Award of New South Wales are the best known awards for students to do science research projects. Now, this is a deeper form of science than just answering an exam. It's actually conducting scientific research. For the last 4 years in a row, PLC Sydney has won more awards in that project or in those on that award night than any other school. We won 22 last year, James Roos won 8. It shows our commitment to trying to help the girls to be learning really deeply and richly, depth and breadth in their learning. And we do that by offering Cambridge courses as well as NESA courses. Most schools in New South Wales will offer NESA or Board of Studies courses, English, Maths, Science. We offer those. We do the HSC. But we also offer Cambridge. Now, Cambridge is the largest international program in the world. There are 11,000 Cambridge schools worldwide. There are 4,000 IB schools worldwide. And we offer that at the IGCSE level, that's years 9 and 10, with the particular goal of helping the students to grow in those middle years. That's a time when your learning can go like this when you're up to year 8, and then it can plateau in 9 and 10, and then go on into 11 and 12. We don't want to have that plateau in 9 and 10, and the Cambridge courses help us with that and help the girls stay studious and focused and really do something exciting and new at that time. It's been a real boon for us. Our physics results have gone from 5% below state average 10 years ago to a minimum of 5% above, up to 15% above currently. So we do have specialist staff, and we really try and build this notion of excellence and reach, being for each girl and yet helping those to achieve excellence. And so it looks like this. All the different schools would be in the blue. They do the Board of Studies or the NESA program, but PLC Sydney has a specialist junior science staff member who actually teaches science, and we've got our own science lab to do that. We've also got a technology lab, for example, as well. Then there's a huge range of extra and co-curricular activities and enrichment to enable the girls to really enjoy deeply their learning. And there's enough in the school that many, many girls can go. We want to reach each girl. We don't just want to have, debating for one team. We have 120 girls do debating. That's what it's like in science as well. Then we offer those Cambridge science courses. We're offering physical sciences, physics, chemistry. Actually, I should change this because we're also offering biology now. And then also we have our enrichment programs. And we're heading towards offering both HSC and A-level in Cambridge. And so this is another part of who we are. This is one of our turtles, and the idea is that the girls would get to not just learn about the natural world, but they would engage with it really quite deeply at PLC Sydney. And we have a significant environmental program because the girls need to learn within the context of a school that really values the environment. Excellence and reach can also be traced in a subject like English. Every girl does a public address every year. That's a reach part. We have a public speaking club that every girl can become part of. There's a very strong public speaking program within the school, and yet also you can do private lessons in public speaking. And so we've had 4 girls recently in the Australian public speaking team. If you look at something like, I'm not sure how that print is for you, but this is the competition record for what's called the Higgs Festival of Speech. There are 32 big girls' schools in New South Wales, and they all compete in the Higgs Festival of Speech. There's the record of the winner, PLC Sydney 15 out of 25 or so times. Now, the key thing to this comes out of the depth of the program. You don't get this by just choosing a few able girls. You get it by actually building a really good program that's deep for lots and lots of girls. And if you were to come to our assemblies or meet our girls, you'll see that the vast majority of them are actually very capable public speakers. And when they leave school, they're going to compete with students who are good academically, and they'll be good academically. But it's in areas like public speaking and communication that things really matter. Physical health is also important, so we have a very wide sports program with 24 sports, and we also have a private gym where the girls can just go and get a private training program. We need to keep their bodies physically active too, and there's a trained professional there to help the girls really work out the best program for themselves. Excellence comes across a wide range of activities at PLC Sydney. You can see the Festival of Speech, the swimming, right through the science programs, which I've mentioned, through to the choirs, the orchestra, artistic gymnastics, hockey. I've just given a range of things because we want to try and pick up and help each girl to find their niche. And you don't have to have excellence. Of course, we're seeking to get reach. We ask, can we enable each girl to achieve at her highest level? And are we creating a culture that enables every child to benefit and grow? And so we're seeking to develop each girl. Now, I want to be more particular about how we do that. So we don't offer A, B, C, D, E streams in most subjects. Only mathematics is streamed, and that's because of the nature of the curriculum. But we just offer an A and a B stream. So some girls will be in the A and some girls in the B. And in fact, in English, when they get to year 11, then there's no A or B. Everybody is in mixed classes because we find in that way we enable the most girls to do well. And we offer academic support for those who require it, a really strong program there. And we have a very strong co-curricular program. And the girls really enjoy that. You would have picked that up in Emily's talk because teenagers really need to enjoy school, and we need to provide them with challenge, things that they really enjoy. So we aim for this better middle years education, and Cambridge plays a key part. There's some of the subjects we do. I'll pick a subject like technology. We've got one of Australia's top young 100 most recognised women, and she's actually an expert in women and technology, and she's teaching that technology course. She does a phenomenal job because she's really connecting the girls into the real world. We offer entrepreneurship and design, 2 different courses in the same class at the same time. Now that's an innovative program because we're offering the design and technology course from the NESA, New South Wales curriculum, and the entrepreneurship course from the Cambridge curriculum in the same class at the same time. Students learn how to design something and they learn how to be an entrepreneur with it. But our overall goal is that the girls would love learning. That's our goal for the girls at PLC Sydney. I hope that when you come to PLC Sydney that you'll meet the girls, you'll find they're an engaging community. And if you come, we won't select girls to meet you. We'll just allow any PLC Sydney girl to come and take you around the school. And you could ask them if the teachers care. Now, I love this is from Alice in Wonderland a couple of years ago, and I want you to note the focus in this picture. There's a very strong sense of focus. If I took you to classes last period on Friday, you'd still find settled, hard-working classes. They wouldn't be as sharp as second period on Wednesday, but they would be really engaged and active. And if you see we did Matilda last year. We did it actually by taping every single girl and playing those pieces. We weren't allowed to sing on stage, only the main parts could sing. And so we taped every girl, and then we had a recording of every girl, and then we had the girls lip sync, so they did everything but aspirate. So we ran the musical in COVID times, and we sought to be really creative to try and have excellence and trying to reach each girl and enable her to have part. Here's part of Matilda. It was a really wonderful event, and it really lifted our spirits at a particular time in COVID last year. We pray and look to be a compassionate school. We really believe in empathy, compassion, generosity and magnanimity, and we do this through a strong service learning program. So the girls come in and they would visit Wannabury Preschool in Year 7, Alawa Presbyterian Children's Home and School or Hospital in Year 8. In Year 9 we run a pet show. In Year 10, under normal conditions, they're given an opportunity to go to East Timor to work in the Presbyterian schools there, and Year 11 to Vietnam to work in a similar program. In Year 12, we don't send them anywhere, but they work with the International Justice Mission. So we start the girls off working locally, and we move through to working internationally. And that sense of trying to help each girl to cheer each other girl in the school, to cheer her along, is an important part of who we are. We are Presbyterian Ladies College, and each of those three words is important to us. We teach Christian theology and service, and we have a Christian understanding of the human being, that every human is inherently valuable, of ineliminable value. We believe that change starts with a girl, and we teach critical, reflective and action-related thinking. So I've mentioned the service tours. I should also mention the exchanges. Emily mentioned those. So we have 16 exchange sister schools around the world, and at the moment that's on pause, of course, because of COVID, but we're itching to get back there. We've got an alternate program for Year 10, a local program this year, but normally we would have exchange. We also offer curriculum tours. Now the exchange program and the service learning is actually supported by our foundation. So 6 weeks in France can be as little as $2,000 under normal conditions. That's including the airfare. So we want as many girls as possible to go there. But if you go on the curriculum tour, that is, of course, at your own expense. I've talked to you about sporting excellence, and Saturday is our day of sport, a very wide range of 24 sports. And I mentioned also that creativity, if you were to come along, we have our own art gallery. I've mentioned the theatre, etc. Music, the orchestras, really full symphony orchestra, bands, the largest pipes and drums in New South Wales, choirs, bells, a whole range of music, and the girls really enjoy the creative aspects of the college. We also have a boarding school with about 60 girls in it, and that means that we have girls who live on campus all the time, and they really add so much to PLC Sydney. You would have seen some of them walking down the stairs in the video which we showed you. There's our pipes and drums. And so we have both tradition and innovation within the school. We're a school rich in both. So being and becoming and belonging, if your daughter does come and join us, she would come into a homeroom where she would be with 14 other girls, and those girls would stay with her through the school, and they would have a homeroom teacher who would guide them through the school, and under the care of a head of year who also would follow them through the school. And that's our goal for how we develop the program to support the girls. And there's a very strong wellbeing program here with chaplains and counsellors, but really starting off with a relationship between the girl and her teachers, as Emily said. There's our transition class. I told you about them. They're fantastic, and this is their wonderful celebration evening, and they add so much to the school and so much to our community, and they bring great joy to who we are. Our website will tell you so much more about the college than we can tell in this 20 minutes. And also our parent portal, we offer you continuous feedback on your learning. We're actually revamping that right now to further improve it, so we can have close communication, so that within about 3 weeks of an assessment, you could follow that easily online. So you can follow your daughter's progress through the school. And this is me. I'm married to my lovely wife, Susan, and we've got 3 girls ourselves. So I'm surrounded by omnicompetent females. And I really enjoy being part of PLC Sydney and enjoy my own daughters as well. So that's a bit about us. I'm going to give an opportunity now for questions. If you have any, please send them through to Mrs. Marvel. Otherwise, you can send them through, and I hope that you can do a tour with us. I hope you can come and meet the girls. We're still running our Fair and Open Day, which is the day before Mother's Day. So do plan to come and see us in the flesh, so to speak. We would love to meet you and love to invite and have you show you around PLC Sydney. Thank you. I'll just wait in case we have some questions. So I'll just stand here for a moment.
Here's one question, Dr. Burgess. Do you have a cadets program at PLC?
We don't offer a cadets program, as might be at some of the boys and actually some of the girls' schools now. We do offer a very strong Duke of Edinburgh program, which achieves many of the same goals. In fact, we're one of the schools that's in the top number of students who do the gold, silver and bronze Duke of Ed. So we find that that achieves that goal very successfully for our girls.
The only other question is one that I will answer because it relates to tours of the college.
Okay, Mrs. Marvel will answer the question around tours of the college that's been put on. So does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask?
Coming in now.
Oh, good.
What languages are offered?
Good. So we offer, besides English, we have 5 languages. French and Chinese are the languages that go right through the school, so your daughter would definitely study one of those. That's a compulsory language. And we offer Italian, Latin and Japanese.
Do you have a Latin department?
We have a languages department, which includes a Latin department, and a very good department at that.
What is the requirement for devices that the girls must have? For example, laptops, tablets, etc.
So our technology program, first of all, we see technology as being everything from the pencil through to the laser printer, including, of course, the phone. I want to talk about this in 2 ways. Firstly, let me talk about it in terms of the learning. There's a real opportunity to use technology well. And we do robotics, we do coding in computer. We also teach the girls how to do very artistic frameworks in art so that they can learn to do cartoonography, etc. So there's a lot that can be learned through technology, and we really embrace it. But we also embrace traditional technologies, paint, clay, all the way through with those and right across the school. In terms of our computer program, the girls will have laptops in Year 5, but they are a basic type of laptop that doesn't allow them access to all of the things that are on the internet. And then from Year 7 onwards, they can bring with them a bring your own device program for laptops. In terms of the social media framework, we allow girls to bring a phone to school in junior school because some of our girls travel quite a distance, and as a safety concern, we want them to have a phone with them when they're travelling home, but they hand their phones in the junior school. In Years 7 to 9, the girls are allowed to have them in their pockets or in their lockers, but not have them out during the day. They'll be confiscated if they're out during the day. And then in Years 10 to 12, we expect adult use of the phones. The girls are allowed to use them for adult use, and they do use them well. We find that the social aspect of technology rarely gives us any difficulty at school, but we do seek to partner at home. It's what happens if a daughter is on her phone or on her computer at 10 o'clock at night and she's writing to a friend, she's less likely to speak as well as she might at 7 o'clock. And that's where the issue is. And so we really ask our parents to put technology to bed and to do that within their families for the good of all.
Is there any career counsellor or university support by the school?
There's fabulous career and university support. So we start our program in Year 5 when we basically try and teach the girls about the jobs of the future. They know about doctor and lawyer, etc., but there's a lot of new jobs, and early careers education is basically about that, just getting to know what sorts of jobs are in the world. It really kicks in a big way in Years 10 to 12. We do a profile for every girl in Year 10, which just gives her information so that she can see what her aptitudes and attitudes are towards her future career, and she has an individual conversation with our careers advisor. We call it PLC Sydney Futures. Then that carries on into Year 11 and into Year 12, so there is an ongoing conversation with our careers advisor or PLC Sydney Futures right through the senior years. We also have a specialist overseas university entrance person in Miss Deb Wheeler. She's really a highly successful person at helping students to write up overseas university entrance papers. So we definitely support the local universities at our big PLC Sydney Futures nights. We have all of the universities come Not many schools get them all come, but we have them all, and they all come seeking our students to go to their universities. And then also we have webinars, and we invite ex-students predominantly to come and to speak about, you know, I started off in construction, I went into law, I went into medicine, this was my experience, this is what you need to be like. And we hold those each term, 2 a term I think it is that we hold, and they're webinars that go out to the girls. And we have experience days. So if the girls are particularly interested, say in engineering, then they can go out on experience days and find out more about that particular career. So there's a very strong program and a growing one.
Is there a work experience or equivalent program? If so, what year does it happen?
We don't offer work experience. We do allow students to go on work experience in their holiday period, but we find that the work experience program, that general one, is very hit and miss. Some of the students, when we used to do it, they would go along and they would sit and make coffee and do the photocopying, while others would have a wonderful time. That's where we've replaced it with the webinar and the ex-student program, and that provides far more one-on-one discussion with the students about the actually what it's like. And also it introduces them to the world of the ex-students at PLC Sydney and gives them connection, and that connection is very important for their future.
Are sports displayed in the video included in the annual fee, or is that an additional cost?
So you can play sports within the school at no additional cost. There are some sports in that way. If you compete for the school on a Saturday, all schools would pass on that extra cost to you as parents. However, they do it in different ways. Because the people, it's a user pays system there. So if you do the sport, then you get a small extra charge for that. And that covers the buses that go there, it covers the referees. IGSA charges that, and they keep the costs relatively low.
If a girl is falling behind in her studies, what is your approach to help her catch up?
So first of all, I remind you, this is if a girl is falling behind in her studies, what's her approach to catch up? Well, the first thing is, how do we know that she's falling behind? And that's why we have the portal, so that both you and we can have a look at what's occurring for her. And then we would have quite a personal approach to seeking to support her. And so we have staff who will talk to you, work if you're concerned, or if we have identified it, we'll talk to you. And then we will develop a plan for how we will go forward. And we have a educational special services. We also hire ex-students to come back and to work for the senior girls in the library of an afternoon to provide support. Our library is open till 6 p.m. each day, except on Friday, and that enables students to come. And we have a Star Cafe, and the Star Cafe is a place where girls can go and get help from teachers with their homework. So it's a whole wide range of things. Some girls might need the homework help, other girls might need structure in how to organise their studies. We also do things like have Prue Salter come and talk about study skills. We try and help the girls to be independent. I worked in Lancaster University for a while running the Master of Arts in Education program, and Tony Blair put an enormous amount of money into education, and he put people beside each teenager to try and help them to learn. And many of those teenagers became very adept at getting the adults to do the work for them. We try our best. Our whole effort is towards helping the girl towards independence. We will support her, but our goal is to help her to take that on. That's what our goal is, that she would be an independent learner by the time she leaves the school.
2 questions related. Saturday sport is compulsory, is the first question, and if so, when do they train?
Saturday sport is compulsory for 2 terms out of all of the terms you come. So maybe 1 term in year 7, 1 term in year 8. That's really to give the girls a taster. The boys' schools have compulsory sport, but not the girls' schools. And that's because dancing and gymnastics are so big in the girls' schools that they already take up quite a bit of athletic time, if you wish. So we do say that you must be involved in a team sport in your early years. And then if you are, and about 75% of our girls do sport each week, and if you are involved in a team, then there's 2 training sessions in the early years, usually 1 in the morning, 1 of an afternoon, 1 before school, 1 after school. And then as they get older, the girls can opt for social sport. In other words, that in years 10 and 11, they would only go to 1 training, and if they do it in Year 12, we don't make them go to any training. So we would have girls who compete at the highest level all the way along, as I said before, and they want to be in the firsts or the seconds, and they really want to train well. And then we'd have other girls who, as their senior years come upon them, they just want to be fit and healthy and play with their friends, and we seek to support that as well.
Okay, just trying to link a few questions together. How many students at PLC in total, and how many in each year roughly? Also, how many students per class, and what is the size of Year 7?
Wonderful. So we've got a lot of questions around our numbers. The overall size of the school is just over 1,400. That means that in the senior school, the year groups are around 165 to 170. Some of those girls, a few of them, would be girls who are in the transition class, and they won't be in most of the mainstream classes or any of them. They might come and join in art or something like that. And so if you were to divide up the numbers, you would end up with about 164 or so in a year group. And if you divide that by 7, then you're going to get an idea of the average English class. So it's in the early 20s. And then so that would be an English class in 7, 8, 9. In 11 and 12, we divide it further into 8, so that there's an extra English class. And so the numbers go down again. And then the elective and other classes, they can be 15, 16, 18, 5, 12, those types of numbers. So we actually offer a very broad program and have very good class sizes. I think that's the core part of that. Coming into Year 7, the maximum would be 170, we would expect, but it usually ends up somewhere around 165, 166.
What opportunities do the girls have to socialise with boys?
Very good. So what opportunities do the girls have to socialise with boys? Well, firstly, in their classes, we don't socialise them, of course, and that's key to their learning so that they can be separate from them. We have dances with Trinity and Newington. They're arranged and they're in the early years. When they do debating, boys' schools are in the competitions as well. In drama, if they're involved in that, boys' schools are involved. Some of the camps that we run, we invite boys' schools to come along and join us. There's the main place that they will really engage in any girls' school would be with the brothers of the girls that they're with, but there are definitely activities and opportunities. Our school leaders are just meeting, for example, coming up very soon for a prefects afternoon tea, and all of the girls and boys' schools are getting on together. We've got this week. Tomorrow it's Newington versus PLC Sydney in the theatre sports. So all of the Newington boys will turn up at PLC, and the PLC Sydney girls will be there, and it'll be a competition between the two schools with the boys and girls socialising before and after the event.
Are most students from the inner west of Sydney?
We serve 174 towns, suburbs and cities, and we actually serve them from all around the world. But the majority of our students are from the inner west, by far the majority. Our buses go through to Balmain, to Drummoyne. They're two very strong areas for our students, plus a lot of students from Croydon, Burwood, moving along the inner west train line, all of those, because we're right on the train line. So there's a lot there, but we also have healthy numbers from heading up past Lane Cove and also down to Sutherland Shire, healthy numbers there. We have boarders who come from all over New South Wales and all over the world.
On top of the school fees, can you give a guide of what additional costs there would be in a given year?
Oh, now I'm being asked what additional costs would there be in a given year on top of school fees. We do have a small technology fee, and if your daughter played sport, that would be there. You have the uniform cost that would be added in, and if she went on some sort of, we don't, the overseas travel and those types of events that the girls could do, or trips that the girls could do, would be extra if you selected those. If you want to I'll get Mrs. Marvel to, so I'm accurate in that, to seek to give an accurate written answer to it, because I'm just speaking off the top of my head there.
Okay, next question. How is religious teaching included each week?
So, first of all, a key part of thinking about the Christian nature of the school is how do we see the individual person in the school? If you think about the history of the West, we have a philosophy and theology class, and I really enjoy teaching the Year 10s, and this actually comes from our lesson today. So if you think back to somebody like Augustine, who was an early Christian philosopher and theologian, then he really spoke about the inherent value of each individual person, their dignity and their value. And so that undergirds all that we believe about the girl within the school. If you come through to how education's changed, it has become more utilitarian. So if you listen to the news, watch the Sydney Morning Herald, a lot of the discourse is about education as a utility. From the right wing of politics, more about how it supports the bottom line of our economy. From the left wing of politics, more about how it might be towards equity. But the thing that we add in is that sense of the person and looking after the individual girl. Then the practicalities are that the girls would have a chapel each fortnight. They'd have an assembly each week, including a short talk from our chaplains or one of the girls. Sometimes I give it. And then they would also have, in the junior school, 2 Christian studies classes per week, and in the senior school they'd have 1 per week up to year 10. And in 11 and 12 they can take studies of religion. They can also take as an elective philosophy and theology in years 9 and 10.
And you may have covered this, but do you include other religions other than Christianity?
So we definitely teach about all religions. In fact, it's because of our Christian faith that we teach about all religions. And in my philosophy and theology class, we also teach about a range of different secular views. So we're not afraid of somebody like Nietzsche, for example, who was quite anti-Christian. We will teach very thoroughly what we do. We believe very much in breadth and depth. But it's very important to recognise that all of us have a meta position as to how we see other faiths. Or other positions. We all come with our presuppositions, and what we try and do at PLC Sydney is just be honest with you about that. There's no neutral space there. We all have a perspective from which we come to look at the world, and the girls will definitely engage with the widest and broadest range of understanding, but we do come from that position.
Does the school support the learning of other languages not mentioned, and likewise an exchange program to other countries of their choosing, background countries?
So we definitely do support the teaching of other languages. We have girls doing German, Finnish and other languages at the moment, and we put them in through the Languages Centre, which is part of the Department of Education. That's open to all schools, and those applications go in. In fact, last year one of our girls came top in the state in Greek, even though we don't offer that. So she came first in the state in that subject in the HSC. So it's a very positive and strong program. And the second part of the question I lost, sorry.
Sorry, it's gone.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm just going to see this. I forgot the second part of that question, so just give me a moment. We might come...
Exchange program.
Oh, exchange program. Yes. Do we support an exchange program to other countries? Unfortunately, we can't, because we actually have to do a physical check of every school that we send on exchange. And you can imagine that it's not a bad job to be the head of international studies at PLC Sydney and under normal conditions, because part of your job is to go and make sure that those other schools that the girls are going to are safe and all is well. So we do a very thorough check on those schools, and we are very confident in the schools that we have as sister schools, and we couldn't expend that amount of cost, I'm afraid, to go to another school and do that for one child.
What program does the school have in place to prevent and deal with bullying?
Yes, so this question's about bullying, and I'd like to talk to you about 3 words in bullying. The first is conflict, the second is bullying, and the third is rivalry. So let's talk about bullying first, since that's the question. There's actually not a lot of bullying in that classical sense of somebody who's more powerful picking on somebody who's less powerful. But if it does occur, we have a very strong policy within the school. It's publicly available on the website, and you can see the steps which we follow through. It's very clear. Girls do come into conflict. That's a natural thing. We all do at times, and part of a good education is to teach them how to handle that. We use a peacemaker program, which in short is we teach the girls how to be peacemakers, not peace fakers or peace breakers. I mean, it sounds a bit glib, but it actually works quite well. In other words, we try and get the girls to speak honestly and lovingly towards each other as they resolve issues where there's conflict. rather than just sweep it under the carpet or rather than react with anger. That's our task within the wellbeing program. And conflict is something which PLC handles, I think, very well. Our heads of year are very adept in it. We have a coaching program which we offer to all of the staff, or all of the staff must do, and that helps us work through that. The real thing I want you to think about, and it's not often spoken about in educational circles, is the word rivalry. And that's where often two friends, they go and they might both like soccer, or they both might like to be in the theatre, and they are very good friends because they share a common passion. And then suddenly it comes about that neither of them, well, one of them gets in the position in the team that they want and the other one doesn't. One of them gets the part in the play that the other one also wanted, and suddenly you have a rivalry developing. Often that rivalry comes because of a third person. They both want to be friends with the one individual. And we really seek to help the girls work through that. Sometimes people will call that bullying, but it's important to see it in a different way, because it's not just about power, it's about longing. It's about the girl wanting to be accepted and loved, and we need to help her to find out where she is. And we do put quite a bit of energy into that as well. I hope that's helpful.
What is the average working years of the teachers in PLC?
Well, the average is a tricky one because we celebrate often teachers coming up for 20, 30-year anniversaries. They call it a little bit the golden chains because it's such a good place to work that many teachers stay here for a long time. But we do encourage teachers in their career paths, so we've also got an active framework there. And when we think teachers should go on into further leadership positions, that's part of our responsibility to the broader education. But we've got a very stable staff. Having said that, this year has been quite an interesting one at the start. I think the things that sometimes cause difficulty for teachers in schools aren't that they want to stay, but it's things like the health of their family members. So we've had quite a bit of ill health for partners or husbands or wives of teachers just at the beginning of this year, quite unusual. And so any school has to manage that from time to time. That's a normal part of being a community as big as we are.
And how many teachers would we have on staff?
How many teachers do we have on staff? I think it's around 200.
Are there Indigenous contributors to the curriculum? For example, NAIDOC Week. Also, how does the school relate with First Nations members?
Oh, that's a great question about First Nations members. So first of all, the school offers two types of scholarships for Indigenous girls. We're part of the AIEF, which is the largest program, and they pay for Indigenous students to be boarders. And then we have actually a private scholarship, which is funded entirely by one family within the school, and that supports a number of individual Indigenous students to come. They're supported by a teacher who has as her job the work with the Indigenous girls, and we get a group called Common Grace to come and to support us there, as well as the AIEF, who supply great support. And then we celebrate those girls and what their achievements are. And yes, we have very strong programs for NAIDOC and other parts of the year.
Okay, we're almost there, Dr. Burgess. You mentioned the varied curriculum and Cambridge teachings. How does this work in relation to exams and accreditation?
Excellent. So currently, through the junior school, there's no exams or accreditation to speak of. In the senior school, the school certificate finished a few years ago for NESA, but the students who do the Cambridge courses, and every student does Cambridge English at the school, they do the English exam, we have the maths exam, the science exams, and they're at the end of year 10, plus those students do them in the electives that they've chosen. So that's part of the accreditation. We also offer AS General Studies in Year 11, which basically I teach 5 lessons, not a year, just 5 lessons. I say to the girls, just have a go if you want to. And many girls have a go, and they have a go at that exam, which helps with their general understanding. And we haven't got to A-level yet. We're offering the HSC at the moment, but I expect to give more news on when we will move to A-level. We did have a firm date we were starting that, but with COVID coming along, we delayed that. So we're currently using Cambridge to prepare for the HSC, and in not too long we'll have word about when A-level will start.
Sorry, Dr. Burgess. Do you have a gifted and talented program?
So it's an interesting thing to think about gifted and talented. We have, I think, one of the largest extension and enrichment programs of any school. Now, let me deal with definitions here, because gifted and talented can mean many things. By gifted and talented, I mean a program that just identifies the top few students and enables them to go well. An enrichment and extension program is open to a much broader range of students, and our program is very large. We enter more girls into extension and enrichment mathematics than any other school. And as I said, with science, we have a very big program and win more awards in science. Now, we accelerate girls in mathematics who are able. They can do years 8, 9 and 10, that's 3 years, they can do them in 2 years. And then they will do their HSC Advanced and Extension 1 Maths over years 10 and 11, finishing the HSC in year 11, enabling them to have lots of time to spend on Extension 2 Maths if they want to in year 12. Maths is a subject where you can accelerate, but we don't accelerate for English. We want breadth and depth. We have a very big enrichment program in English with a large range of co-curricular and other opportunities. We've got writing groups, classic reading groups, library groups, a whole range of things in English and then in maths. Plus we do informatics, problem solving. We're involved in the rare languages test, for example, and we enter girls into many things. That's how we do get girls who get into the Australian science team, the Australian maths team, because of the amount of enrichment we offer. And why it's so important is because it's not just open to a few students whom the school selects. We give opportunity for students to surprise us, and they do.
All right, now I have 3 questions that are related, so I'm going to see how clever you are, how good your memory is.
I'll try my best.
Does PLC intend for the A-levels to replace HSC entrance like other schools are doing with the IB? When the A-levels are offered in year 12 in the future, is it anticipated they will be able to choose between doing A-levels and the HSC or only A-levels? And then the icing on the top, do we offer the IB program to students?
Okay.
So it all ties in.
Ties in. So we offer the HSC and we will continue to offer the HSC. We hope and are planning to offer A-levels in the future. So when we offer A-levels, we will still continue to offer the HSC. That's very important. In fact, if a school was to just offer Cambridge or the IB, it would lose its funding. So I don't know of any school that just does that. MLC offers the IB and they offer both the HSC and the IB. We're not going to offer the IB. The IB is a good course, but there's 2 reasons why we don't offer it. One, the IB takes charge of teaching and learning. They insist that all teachers are trained through their system, and that's the way that teachers are trained in IB schools. That's a very expensive option, and also I don't want to outsource the core business of the school to another organisation. If that organisation goes south, then we go south with it. The other important part is the IB is a very expensive program. You have to buy into the whole thing, and we wish to expend the money on trying to reach each girl. The IB is a generalist program that just gives breadth. The HSC gives breadth and depth. That's why we like it. So you can study English, maths, science, history, design and technology, but you can also study maths at a deep level, English at a deep level, etc., languages at a deep level. So the HSC gives breadth and depth. The Cambridge courses also give breadth and depth, but in a different way. The focus is definitely on the depth because you do 3 to 4 subjects rather than 6, and so it is a narrower but deeper range. But the range of subjects is really quite exciting, and so students get to choose from a broader range. Whereas in the IB, all of the students will do a language, will do English, will do maths, will do science. It's a very generalist program, perfectly satisfactory program, but one that takes money away from us being able to reach each girl and enable each girl to find her niche, which is really important to us. Our public speaking program All of those other programs, they all need to be financed, and we don't want to give the money to the IB. And secondly, we don't want to outsource teaching and learning.
Is religion included in the HSC exams?
The HSC exams have a Studies of Religion course, which is an elective. You don't have to do it. We're not like the Catholic schools where it's compulsory, but you can do it, and quite a few girls do.
And the final question for the evening, with what words do you start school assemblies and other formal addresses?
Well, the words that we start the assembly with, we always have an acknowledgement of country, and then we move through to a Bible reading, to the chapel talk, and then I usually speak, or maybe one of the captains speaks at that point. And then we have some really celebratory part of this, where we look at giving awards or recognising girls, and we really try and recognise lots of girls. And then often there's a fun element then to the assembly, and we finish off with the announcements. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. I'll hand back to Mrs. Marvel. I wish I could talk to you personally, but it's been good to be able to talk to you at least. Thanks very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Burgess. Very impressive answering all those questions on the spot. You never cease to amaze me. Before you leave, I just want to talk about a few small things that come down to my role. So I've just got a few notes here. First of all, Dr. Burgess has talked about how we are a school for all ages right across. We do also have a preschool at Ashfield, and that's for boys and girls from 3 years of age. So if you are at all interested in a little one that might be sleeping at the moment, in starting at PLC, it might be your son, and it might be convenient to have, if your daughter is going to attend PLC Sydney, it might be convenient to have your son close by at Ashfield. But please don't hesitate to contact us. And also we start pre-K at the Croydon campus, which is a pre-kindergarten, so the year before kindergarten for 4-year-olds. And that's a 3-day or a 5-day program, so you do have choice in those early years. Somebody asked about tours. We do ask that you book for tours online. Now, if it is a private tour, it is simply registering your name and we contact you to find a time that is suitable. Open day tours this year, because of still under the COVID cloud, will be booked online, and they will be available shortly, so that's via our website. They may even already be there, but they will be there by mid next week. So we do have to limit our numbers, and we do have to know who is coming on those tours for the health regulations. Open day is another opportunity, of course, to do tours, as well as we do have campus tours booked throughout the year that you'll also see on our website. So on the website there is a tile called Come and Meet Us, and all your opportunities are on there, and a lot of you would know that already because that's how you would have booked for tonight. How to enrol is a big question. Some of the questions were, when do we enrol? I don't mean to sound twee, but as soon as possible to avoid disappointment. Many of the independent schools are finding that they are in huge demand. This is partly due to COVID, and we cannot tell you when to apply. But if you are considering PLC Sydney, we do interview by date of application. We do have round 1 interviews for our intake years, and then if people do not take up that offer or have moved out of the area, we go to our round 2 interviews. But I'll give you an example. We have almost finished our 2023 first round interviews now. So at least 2 years, 2.5 years in advance, but at least I would say actually 3 years. But if you have a beautiful baby just born, as soon as the ink is dry on that birth certificate, you can easily send us an application online. So I can't stress enough how important it is. We are a popular school, and there are many great schools within this area and within Sydney. You are spoilt for choice, but we do invite you to come and see us. We invite you to our open day, and you are always welcome to contact us via phone or email, and we are only happy to help talk you through the process. Thanks again for tonight. for attending, for listening, and I hope that you don't turn the TV on, that you have a good discussion about PLC now before you go to bed. Have a great night. Thank you.